Powered by Dr. Podcast, your audio factory, turning ideas into a signature sound.
Today is November 9, the opening of Frieze and the opening of a very important show today here at the Robilant+Voena gallery, which goes from the October 11 to November 15. And this exceptional show is the show of Michelangelo Pistoletto. Good morning, Michelangelo.
Good morning.
Why is this show so special? What is so special and new in this particular show? It's a few years you didn't have a show like this in London. Why did you want to bring these pictures, paintings, and what are they? Because they're very different from what you did before.
This work starts from when I break my mirrors in 94 for the first time in a public space. I destroyed the mirror, spaccato lo specchio.
Why did you destroy the mirror?
Because the mirror doesn't have any consistency. It's just image. But there is a material that makes it possible. That is the material that is so flat that it can reflect. But without the material, we don't have the reflection. And when you just think about the mirror, you have the illusion that everything is just the image. But the image is given by the fact that the mirror doesn't have any personal image. It is because it's ready to have all the image that what exists taken inside of it. Zero and everything.
Then why do you break it?
Because I wanted to show that it's not just untouchable, but it's touchable. It's physical. There is a physicality behind the mirror.
Right.
So I destroyed the mirror in the sense that the physicality came as the evidence. So it is like if the humanity, it was a big mirror, but the people doesn't know that exist because they are just image, but they are physical people. Humanity is a physical people. Cutting the mirror, I have the physicality coming in evidence. And so it is, the humanity appears as a body and mind, body and reflection.
But that's why, for instance, in this colored painting,
From that,
you break the mirror, there is a space.
when I break the mirror, it is casual. What is happening is very casual. Like the humanity, it happened casually, the existence of the humanity. But the humanity, little by little, take its own capacity of reflecting. In the relation between humanity, we have a reflection. We are body, but we have also mind, and we reflect. Humanity is not just like the animal that is a body, but humanity is animal and mind. So now I know that we are born from a very occasional reason. I mean, there is no specific reason. There is just the chance. The chance is at the base of everything. But as human beings, we take consciousness of the chance. So we can use the chance in a way to know that the chance is there. The chance is an animal thing. But we have the chance transformed in the capacity of human being to use it in the right way.
So when you break the mirror,
when I break is the
you
chance.
create
But
the
after,
chance, right?
the moment I make a sign, I transform the chance in a consciousness. This is a conscious chance.
So what do you do to create these paintings? I mean, let's examine them. They're all framed, for instance, with very classical gold frames like old masters.
The frame is necessary because if you have just a mirror, for example, when you have a mirror, the mirror is not a work of art. It's just an object.
That's right.
It can be like a chair, like a glass. It's an object. We can use it. But it's not art. The moment you put the frame, the mirror is concentrated in a specific space that your mind is concentrated in that space. But it's not enough. You need also an image, because the image, it is something that comes from the history of art. Only we have an image. Also, when we make an abstraction, it's an image.
Yes, of course.
It's a design, it's a drawing. It can be a photography. There is always a meaning that if you put the photography, a piece of photography against the mirror, the mirror become representative. I did the mirror paintings where photography of moment, human moment, fixed as memory against the mirror, and the memory of a moment become activating the mirror. Then each moment of the mirror become a memory that is never stopping.
Right.
It's never stopping. The memory is becoming always an image, always an image.
So there is a
So
fixed
we need
image.
an image.
There's a fixed
We need
image.
an image and a frame. And the mirror become art.
So in this case, we have colored mirrors, broken mirrors, and you
But
feel...
this
you
is not
feel-
broken by chance, it's drawn by chance. Because when I make a sign, I make something that is like each moment I draw, it is like if I was broken the mirror. But with consciousness, not just once.
In these paintings, you use also the basic elements of the work, right? Canvas, mirror,
The
frame.
mirror, it become art in my work because there is the past before the mirror painting. Before the mirror painting, we have canvas, we have frames, we have all what is part of the history of art. The canvas, it is something that is taking the place of the wall. We put the canvas on the wall.
But how did it
Because
start?
we don't paint directly on the wall.
But how did you start? For instance, in the other room, there are black
and white.
and white. So
I
how
started with black and white.
Why? Because when you break the mirror, it becomes...
My first mirror painting in '61 was done with black color, shiny color on canvas. Very refined canvas, very refined color. Black is not a color, but it's a pigment with varnish. So the canvas became mirroring. And I perfected the mirroring canvas using other materials like metal, polished metal, because the polished metal is very durable. The glass is not durable at all. But in this case, you can also repeat the glass. If it's broken, you have the drawing, you do it again. But in the mirror painting, you have the figure standing inside of the mirrors, so you cannot break it. It has to be forever.
Yes, that was the beginning, right?
This was the beginning. So the black mirror became light mirror. I don't call white because the mirror doesn't have the color white. I call light mirror.
Light.
So when I made the first broken mirrors of this series, I call it black and light. From the black,
So the mirror is the
starting
light.
again from the beginning. And after, I transform the black in color. There is also some work, they are black, light, and color. Here we have light and color. On the canvas, I started to use colors instead of the black. And we have all the color possible. And so the color come back. The tradition of the painting is always included in the work that I am doing now.
But for instance, in the back here, there is only a broken mirror without color,
Yes.
without black.
Yes.
There are shapes that are the cuts of the mirror.
That is-
What does it mean, this?
It means that I have the mirror, I cut the mirror as if it is broken, and many pieces become evident because the division produce different pieces. So I take one piece and I put on a canvas with the color, another part of the piece in another painting. Each piece, it becomes autonomous. Like in the society, you have all the society like pieces together, but after you create the individuals.
But this is like a puzzle.
This is the puzzle, yes.
Looks like a
Like a puzzle. And each piece become an individual painting. Each part of it become an individual painting.
But for instance, this work, what does it mean? I mean,
This is the mirror.
then there is a hole, and there is a mirror on the floor.
Cut. There was the possibility of entering the mirror is cut. Instead to have totally open space, you have like a closed door.
This is a door.
It's a kind of closed door, but the mirror go away from the place, but goes
On the
slip
floor.
down, and we can see how the door is doubling on the floor.
Right.
So it is a multiplication of the work, not only on the surface, but in the space.
Tell me something. Is it a portrait, the big black shape that is inside the mirror over there?
But this is very much representing the origin and at the same time the last work related with the origin, where there is the self-portrait made with the black. There, the black become like a figure, like a big head. It's abstract, but it's figurative at the same time.
Yes.
It's a big head. That is the black that opened the light. So it is oldest work and earliest work together.
So if I were visiting this space with your work, how would you take me? I mean, where do we begin and where we end?
I think this is the beginning and at the end at the same time.
Right.
We have always the beginning and the end
Right.
crossing, coming from both sides. There is time, past, and present. We have always, what is important, that in all this work, we never have just the color, the form, material, tradition, but we have the present, and you have the time. You have time and space. You have what is there forever, and with all the possibility of anybody that will come in this earth, with the possibility to be part of it. We are always included.
So-
we are never excluded.
Can we say that the fil rouge of this show comes from your research, your desire, or your understanding that everything is by chance?
By chance.
And when you break a mirror,
By chance.
it's by chance, and then whatever comes,
Everything happened by chance.
But then your work, it happens by chance. But then you have
The
to work on the
consciousness,
chance.
consciousness of the chance.
Then it is no
The
more.
chance is dominating everything because everything is happening because we have always elements that combine. The moment they combine, by chance, they produce something that didn't exist before.
Right.
And this is the creation.
That's your work.
This is the creation. This is the creation of the universe. The universe was born because two elements, that was space and time and mass energy, they, for anything was producing that combination, but it happened by chance. And by chance, all what exists is made by different elements that always combine in the same way, like the moment when the universe had origin. We have always at the origin of something with the combination. This is what happened in the nature. Now we know it because we are not animals that are passively part of the chance, but we are, with our intelligence, able to double the possibility of understand, to represent the reality. Now we have two elements, that is the reality and intelligence. The intelligence is able to use the chance that is in the nature.
We have a very famous artist of the past who was your friend. He was much older than you, but you had a common destiny because you were the first two to be in the same time many years ago at the MoMA in Museum of Modern Art in New York. I talk about Lucio Fontana. And if I remember well, and that's very interesting about your work, when you met him in Milano, I think it was around 1963, he said to you, "Hai abbattuto il muro senza toccarlo." You broke
Destroyed the wall without touching it. Without touching it. Because his
so
problem...
can you explain me, because Fontana instead, he made
Fontana
a cut.
Fontana was suffering the fact that the modern art
Was in the cube.
had stopped the Renaissance perspective. The Renaissance perspective of Piero della Francesca
Right.
opened a mathematic process of the science going on. The science
I
arrived...
think of this because of the door. No? I mean, this door is somehow has to do with Piero.
It's a limit. It's
No?
a limit. This is the door, the limit. When he was working, Fontana, it was suffering the space, the necessity of having a free space that was offering a new perspective, because with the modernity, there was no perspective anymore. There was a concept that in the modernity, is with the success of the science, we arrived at the end, what we're searching. But the Renaissance perspective, it is always looking in front of you. But in the Renaissance perspective, the viewer is not inside, because it's like looking outside of a window. This has become a door, and you are inside.
Right.
So Fontana still was thinking as a concept of window, and he wanted to find a new perspective, but it was unable to find it. It was trying to make a hole against the wall, to try and make a little bit more of perspective. He wanted to go outside of that white cube, the white cube with the cubism that he invented. They were closed in a cube. Fontana wanted to go out of the cube. You
talk about Mondrian, right?
Mondrian, it was an artist that took seriously the concept of Picasso, of the cubism, and said, okay, now we live in the cube. The cubism became a cube, a real cube for everybody.
But he accepted it.
But Fontana was suffering. He didn't want to stay in the cube.
Fontana didn't
because if in the Renaissance they were able to find the perspective, why we are not able today to find a perspective again for the society? But he didn't succeed. It was just expressing the desire to go ahead after the war. When I made the mirror paintings with the mirror, I opened totally the view. All what exists in front of you, there is not just one perspective. It is the complete perspective.
360.
No, because what you see in front is in the back. What is in the back is in the front. You are included. The viewer and the artist are included. The moment become a mirror, you are already into the painting.
That's right.
But because for the Renaissance, you were not in the painting. In the cube, you were in the work, but without perspective, without future.
Yeah, but
now we have the past and the future together, and you are in the middle.
But as you discovered this, what next?
Fontana, when he see my work, he understood that it was not a question just to make a physical whole, but a virtual whole, because the mirror is virtual. And after the virtuality, I break the mirror and I recuperate the physicality that you have here.
And I don't want to say something because I'm not an art historian, but yesterday in the frieze pavilion of Voena Robilant, where there is one of your big color paintings, one of these, in the corner there is a smaller Fontana painting
that which
is like a polished mirror.
It's a polished aluminium.
After he saw your work.
And if you look the date, it is made after
he saw your work.
He met my work. Because in 64, he went to New York.
Yes.
And in 64, at the MoMA, there was already my mirror paintings. And what is funny, it is that the unique two Italian work of art in the MoMA, they were one work of Fontana and one work of Pistoletto. And Fontana, one is the hole and one is the mirror. And he came back and he tried to make the hole in the mirror.
But tell me something.
And it is why it's funny, because the big maestro of the Novecento, 19th century, he became my pupil. And started to think, considering my progress.
Yeah, but probably he was sufficiently intelligent to think that art, you learn without copying.
Without the past, I couldn't do nothing, no one step. But also, a person like Fontana that was looking for something was more able than anybody else to see the result that he was looking for in my work. And was just following me. So it is father and son and father going on.
But you are as well the son of
an artist.
Yes. So, I mean...
And also, my father was a traditional painter, and I brought my father to work with me, understanding my work, and I offered my father to make natura morte, lifestyle, nature natura morte. There were objects on the table. I put some metal, polished metal, cafeteria,
cups and
bulb.
Yeah.
And I forced my father to make his own self-portrait in the still life, in the natura morta. So he was painting what was going there, and he was reflected inside, and so he became my pupil. After that, I wanted to make a show with my father and son. And when my father did that work in order to make the show with me, he was 75 years old. When I arrived to 75 years old, I took the painting of my father, I took the same object that my father was used to put in his painting, I made a self-portrait with this.
Of you?
Yeah, and put the two work together there, and I called the coetaneous, same age artist. He was 74, I was 74. And we put our images there, me and my father. We changed totally the time.
I apologize, but I am 74. So you took a picture of you, a portrait, when your father was 75.
My father was 75 when he did that portrait in the still life object. And I made the same object with myself reflected inside, and these two work, and with the photography of my father at 75, me at 75,
and so now me 75.
The same,
so we are
the same image.
Again, so we are again doing another portrait. Now
same image. We are like two persons, the father and the son. They are the same age. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Here we are in London.
Yes.
And there is this particular show. But you just come from Paris, where there was a big show in the Bourse de Commerce, a museum made by François Pinault.
Yeah.
The big show is about Arte Povera. Now,
Caroline Bakarjev is the director.
This is a question, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelangelo Pistoletto belongs to Arte Povera. You're even one of the first Arte Povera artists. I mean, La Venere...
But the mirror painting, they are already Arte Povera.
I mean, La Venere degli Stracci is the icon of Arte Povera, no? With all the other artists, Merz, Boetti, Pennone, and so on and so forth. So you really belong to Arte Povera. But at the difference of many Arte Povera artists, a little bit like Picasso, you know, there is a Pistoletto before and there is a Pistoletto after, which is the Pistoletto of today, because today you're not Arte Povera. So
my research.
So this is interesting that without fighting, you belong to pop art and you belong to Arte Povera, and then you are yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's Pistoletto.
Before Arte Povera, I was part of the pop art, of the New Yorkese pop art, because in New York they wanted me to be included.
Yeah, the famous the famous dealer Castelli.
But I developed my work with the minus object, making multiplication of my identity with a series of work, one different from the other, so that I couldn't be only pop art, because pop art was like to have a label, a label of Pistoletto making mirror paintings. I wanted to destroy the pop label, and destroying the pop label, Arte Povera came out.
So you believe that nowadays, when you saw the show in Paris, because it's a retrospective, you believe that Arte Povera is an equivalently important movement as the pop art? Or it's somehow the answer to pop art?
I don't give specific importance against something.
No.
Something happens after something. Because if there was not something before, nothing happened after. Arte Povera is a consequence of what, for example, was happening in the States, that was minimal art.
Right.
The minimalism, it was to reduce the concept in a very, very, very simple way. But Arte Povera is not reduced into simple way. It was to reduce to the radical way, to the radicality. Like radicality, it means something that is between physical and conceptual. But the physical should be there. The phenomenology of life should be there.
Right.
Minimalism is just intellectual.
Arte povera
Arte povera is
also
both intellectual and physical.
materiale.
Like the mirror painting.
But today, what you do is not arte povera. Arte povera is finished. I mean, it's like a cubism.
Arte povera is finished in a way that it is a movement that arrived, I think, to the extreme point of the series of modern art movement.
That's right.
I think it was the last movement, because we arrived to the radical point where the physics and concept fit together. With the mirror paintings, this is the point of connection. It is now the critics give more importance to the fact that I elaborate this combination that come from Arte Povera, because it was a real passage after the modernity. For example, there was another movement in Italy that was called Transavanguardia.
That's right.
Achille Bonito Oliva.
But that had no success.
It is because Transavanguardia, it means that avanguardia, avant-garde, is finished. There is no more. Arte Povera was the last one. The last movement is giving the meaning that Arte Povera was the last one. Because it says avant-garde, trans-avant-garde. We have to go back to what was done until now.
Today there is
So we had two movements in Italy that was confirming the importance of the Arte Povera. Arte Povera and trans-avant-garde, this saying trans-avant-garde, trans, finito.
And now there are no more movements.
There is movement.
Now it's just...
There is, they are kind of. For example, the street movement, the work in the street. But personally,
which you did also.
Personally, starting from 67, I opened my studio, going in the street, activating performances in the street.
Yeah, you and boys in Germany. I mean, this kind of street opening.
Yeah.
Right.
Street wanted to go outside of the cage of the traditional organization. And so to recreate the system of organization. Art has a possibility to recreate society, starting from the creativity, to give the art creativity the responsibility of the society, not just something that is apart, that you work in the society, and when you want to relax, you go to the museum, you go to the theater, you go to see the artwork. No, the artwork is included in all the structure, all the system of the textile of the society. It is why I opened the Città dell'Arte a Biella. Città dell'Arte is a city of art. The city means also città, like civilization. Art for a new civilization.
Listen, to end this conversation, you still have the same passion, right? I think your life was...
What I like
your life was motivated by energy, talent, passion, curiosity, and in the same time, you followed politics and what happened in your lifetime.
I worked with the politics, religion, school, everything.
So you never stop.
No, art now is connected with life. Città dell'Arte is the connection of what is happening in the society.
So we can say that your life...
Now art has to take responsibility of the society, because art, it is the maximum of freedom. But you don't know what to do with freedom if you don't transform the freedom in responsibility.
Your mirrors are the metaphor of your life.
But it's a metaphor of the world life.
Yeah, but you are...
It's our life.
Yeah.
I am not alone. We have a formula now. Me and you, and in the middle now we are producing a third element that is taken with the camera, and the people can use it, but alone I can say what I want. You can say what you want, but together we produce something that didn't exist before. We are making a creation.
We are doing a work of art.
Two persons work together. So if you speak about politics, we have the same possibility to make a solution talking together.
And talking together is like a work of art?
It depends if you are able to bring a solution that can be based on balance, harmony. You have a new world that is peaceful. If we decide to make war and we fight, we make war, and the world will become a war world. We have to decide if you want the peace or the war.
Thank you, Maestro Pistoletto.
Thank you.
And good luck for your life in London and
Thank you.
everywhere around the world. Thank you very much.
Powered by Dr. Podcast, your audio factory, turning ideas into a signature sound.